Hello everyone, welcome back to another Factional Fight Plays Wurm Online. My name's Brian, that's my brother Adam over there, and today we are taking a break from the Labyrinth, and we're going to do what Adam does best, and that is enchanting. And so why do we do enchanting, and what is it all about? That's what we're going to talk about. Are you ready, Adam?
I'm ready.
Alright, let's get straight to it. Alright, well, it's another week, it's another episode. How are you doing, Adam?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Yourself?
It was a rush for us. I didn't make it home until a few minutes before we started testing.
Yeah, what's new? What's new?
Yeah, and you're welcome in the chat. And thank you everyone for joining us in the chat, and everyone on YouTube later. We are just taking a small break from the Labyrinth. It's still going, but you know, we gotta make some items too, and it is one of our ways that we do make money in the game is enchanting. And what is it all about? I have no idea because Adam does it all. Adam goes, make that mallet for me, and I go, making that mallet, shove that mallet head together, and then I give it to him, and he does stuff with it. What do you do with it, Adam? I don't know. Let's find out. So what is enchanting exactly for anyone that doesn't really know what we're talking about?
Well, enchanting is a priest thing, something that priests can do to cast on items to make them do specific things. Like the two main spells that Vynoran Priest can cast are Wind of Ages and Circle of Cunning. Either it makes the tool go faster, or it increases the skill gain on the tool. I don't know.
It increases the tool gain. Okay,
The
the
skill
skill
gain,
gain,
yeah.
or it makes it faster. How about if I want to make it faster and increase the skill gain?
Well,
Would I get like the ultimate weapon and the ultimate skill gain tool?
Absolutely. You can get both Wind of Ages and Circle Cunning on the same item. Pretty much
And
works like you would imagine.
so I'd want that for everything.
Well, we'll get into the details of exactly what we want, what you might, what the ideal conditions are for each situation.
Okay. So let's look at this logically for a second. We've stopped making, or tonight at least, we've left the Labyrinth, we've came back to our deed, Winter's Night. And because we want to make, we want to put enchants on items. Right?
I mean, I've been
that
wanting to do
simple.
this episode for I don't know how long. I wanted to just show everybody this whole priest thing, so yeah, that's what we're doing.
Alright, but let's pretend,
Yeah, okay.
just for a second here, that we are doing this on a regular night. This is just our thing to do.
Okay.
Why are we doing it?
Why are we doing it? That's a good question. There's quite a few motivations to do it. Obviously, it's a way of making money in the game, which is a good motivation. But as well, just the gold. It's the goal to make that ideal item or to make the ultimate item is always something that I like striving for. Just making it is great. I'm not overly like once I have it, once I made it, it's motivation sort of over. I don't tend to use the ultimate item, but
What is an ultimate item?
well, it can mean a lot of things. It
Where?
could be really high quality, really high enchants. It could be rare or supreme.
Okay, so specifically with enchants,
Mhm.
what is the ultimate enchant? How does enchants work?
What do you mean? So like, well, let's
Okay,
take
I
this.
get a weapon. I get a weapon.
Okay, wait, here's an example. Okay, so here I have this item that I've already enchanted. Um, it's a rare saw. It's if I examine it, I enchanted it with 100 Wind of Ages and 91 Circle of Cunning. I'd say that's pretty good, specifically for saws because those are fundamentally used for making planks, and planking is,
Yeah.
as we know, a long process. So I'd say the 100 Wind of Ages is a pretty high cast. That's what we're looking for this type of item.
Okay. You're talking like 100.
100.
Is the power of the is an ultimate
Uh-huh.
cast
Yeah.
or enchant. Okay, so I like this. This we should do this. We should take questions from the audience while we're talking.
Okay.
'Cause this would be great. Everyone in the chat. So here's one. So if anybody else has questions, just spam them in the chat window, and hopefully I'll bring them up for Adam's. We'll tap Adam's knowledge base. The rumor of COC on a frying pan. Yeah. No.
I don't think so. Although I haven't tried it, so I couldn't say for certain. But I don't
Alright,
think
so-
so. I think that we should start casting. What do you think? And I think we
Yeah,
should go
so-
through. I want to go through a bunch of stuff before we get to this conversation because this conversation can go on and on and on forever, and we can just be sitting here not casting. So let's start with.
All right.
I just want to just lead you through the start of how I would go about casting. The first thing that I make sure of is the enchant, the village bonus is maxed out. So I'm gonna walk us over here to our token, and you can find your village bonus under the settlement info window, and it should be somewhere right here. Now you'll see that I have some village bonus already. Under the enchanting I have 14%. This number here is like the raw value, and then it's divided or multiplied or something by, it looks like divided by 2, depending on how many people are in your village.
You only have 14%.
Right. 14% is not so bad, actually. It used to be that the maximum was 10%. So they increased that maximum to 30%. What this percentage
wow.
means, I have no idea. How it's factored into the whole formula of things, all I know is you want that number to be maxed out, and all that could mean is a good thing for your casting.
Isn't it simple? Isn't it just you have 14%, therefore you have 14% better chance at
You would imagine so.
enchanting?
You would imagine so, but it doesn't seem to work that way. Now, Drakeling has been so kind to get us all set up with these statuettes that are sitting next to you're on the rope maker right now, and
Yes.
right next to your feet, if you turn to your left, you can take a look, are these statuettes here that Drakeling has been so kind to set us up
Okay.
with. Now, to get your enchant bonus to go up, first of all, if you're a priest, you have to make sure that your favor is full. Okay, so I'm going to first do that. I'm going to do that by taking some rope and putting them into my altar. And there's already some there, but let's see. Each one of these ropes I've made to be just above 1, and my favor right now is at 32. I need to get to 100, so I'm going to just put in 60 8. Although, will I be able to... Yeah, okay, good. 68. And I'm going to sacrifice that. Let's just make sure that actually happened. 64. I'm going to put a few more. Okay, now sacrificing this is going to do nothing for the enchant bonus, but what it's going to do is give me a maximum favor. Now, this is a way to, I guess they coded it in to make sure. I'm not even sure why you have to have full favor. I guess it's so that you don't get the bonus of also getting favor from it. I don't know.
There must be a reason.
There must be a reason. Okay, these are some good quality statuettes. By the way, gold statuettes of gods are the highest value in terms of, what do you call it? Get price, which is what the favor sacrificing is all based off of.
A get price. What's a get price?
Well, a get price is if you right-click the item under prices, get price. Okay, and down at the in my event window, it'll tell me a trader will sell this for about 2 silver, 95 copper, so about 3 silver.
So I can sell this get price of this supreme rope tool.
Yeah, don't do that.
Is 80? I could get 80 copper for it.
Yeah,
Says the get price.
80 copper. So this statuette is quite a bit more valuable in terms of how the game values the item, and when I sacrifice it, the amount of enchant bonus I get, or the amount of favor I'll get from the item, will be dependent on that get price. So I'm going to just sacrifice all these items. There's a total of 8 of them, so let's see what happens. And maybe we can answer this question that's been asked while. All
right, so here's some of the questions. Why did you make a priest, first off, Adam? And why did you choose Vynoran?
Yeah, a priest was a hard decision to make. I made it really early on, though, actually, and it meant another character to premium. But why did I make it, I guess?
You started your priest from nothing, from just like a character.
Right, right. It was, we had made a whole bunch of alts, freemium alts, and this one just so happened to have a very nice affinity, so we chose it.
That's right. What was the affinity again?
It was soul depth.
Yeah, it had the soul depth affinity, so you decided to use it.
Why didn't that work?
To get the...
Why didn't that do anything? Yikes. Okay. I'm sorry.
Is it because Gold Blossom is a part of a different... No.
Nope. Gold Blossom should be here. I'm sorry, Drakeling. I sacrificed all your things and it didn't really do much. So in that event, I have come prepared with some extra stuff to sacrifice. So I'm going to sacrifice these locks. Actually, maybe if you want to hit the sacrifice on that, although you need to put it into the faux. So I'm going to put it into the faux altar and you hit the sacrifice on that.
Does it matter who places it?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think it does matter that you're in the village, though, that you're part of this village. And same with Gold Blossom.
We're just not sure how it works. Is anybody sure of how it works?
I'm pretty sure I was sure at one point how it works, but I'm not sure why it didn't pop that up pretty high. So
okay, so let's just say we get the enchant bonus up.
Yeah,
whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
So we just start enchanting. Right, we just pick an item and then we enchant, right?
Yep. We'll show the whole process, so we don't need to describe it, I don't think. I think we should go through our topics here.
Okay, so we got through... Have we gone through your setup? How are you setting this all up? Like, what...
So yeah, this
what
is...
logic did you put behind what we're seeing here?
Yeah. This whole thing is like...
to me, it just looks like a mess. To you, it's like...
It is
everything's in perfect order. Don't touch my BSB.
Yeah, it is a big mess, I think. Especially this altar. This altar I was complaining about how the altars get placed very funny. So there's an altar there that is in the wrong spot. So I have a whole bunch of BSBs here that are set up to store specific qualities of favor items.
Yeah.
That way it's all sorted. I have my altars, and that's I have 2 Vynoran altars in the event that we need to link and use 2 priests to sacrifice at the same time. Did that sacrifice go?
It did.
Yeah, good. Okay, so you're going to do another one. And
I am ready.
in addition, I have my large cart, which is the linchpin of the entire setup. So the large cart can hold 7 rafts and a whole bunch of other containers. Those 7 rafts I have organized in a way that, you know, there's specific enchanted levels. So in my 80 enchanted bin, I'll have everything that has 80 enchants on it. 70 likewise.
Yeah, I think this is one of probably our big requests. If we were to make a list of things that we want to add it into the PvE game, one of them would be we need something to replace large carts inside of buildings for storage. We need a storage. I don't know what you would want to call it.
Unit.
A storage unit
I mean,
for items.
you see how this just looks like a cart here? Wouldn't it be
We
nice
have a
if
cart
there was
like
this
that.
nice piece of furniture that looked like a wall unit or something like that? You opened it up, it had the same sort of capacity as the large cart, so you can put... I look at these rafts kind of like as shelves or something, like shelving units. And in each thing, I have a ton of tools, including 3 backpacks, and inside those backpacks I have a ton more tools. These are all set up to be ready to be enchanted, sort of thing. In addition, I have my gem
Yes,
collection.
Like a craftsman tool chest for the garage. We could make they could make one for
Exactly. A cupboard.
a whole bunch of different trade skills.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do
Or
one
just
more.
Customize your own storage, like equipment, huh?
Yep.
You start off with a small storage device, and then you upgrade it, and you add the ability to add different store different items into it, or up the capacity of a specific thing, or that'd be kind of cool. Anyway, let's go with
Sacrifice
one of these
again.
questions before we get too low.
And hit the sacrifice again. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to hit the sacrifice again.
Yeah.
Is it doing anything though?
Is it doing anything? It is barely doing anything. I'm not sure why.
Maybe they made it a lot harder.
I don't know. Either they changed something or I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, okay, well, we're just going to have to deal with what it is.
Alright, so you have your large cart, your BSBs, you talked about your BSBs, your rafts on the ground, your altars,
Yep,
and you've talked about what all these are for.
yep.
Basically, it doesn't seem that confusing.
Nope.
Why do we have 3 altars?
It's a good question. I recently made Nasili here, the character that you're on, a full priest.
So why do you have 2 Vin altars?
Okay, so, well, one thing I'm going to ask you to do is pray every so often with Nasili so that she can get her faith up. I know you didn't even know that. I haven't
I had no idea.
gotten there. Yeah, but why do I have 2 Vin altars? So one of them is a high quality altar that when it spreads the influence of Vynoran. I use it to sacrifice items, so I'm going to put the container here. And the other one is going to be used for in the event that another priest is there with me, linking with me to cast specifically Mind Stealer, which is a spell that requires more than 100 faith. Um, so
Yeah.
you need to have
So.
two priests sacrificing at the same time. Now, sacrifice is a 30-second cast timer,
Oh,
and you don't want to have one priest sacrifice 30 seconds, the other priest afterwards sacrificing 30 seconds. It's better to just have them both sacrificing at the same time.
okay.
So
So
that's the way it
that
is.
explains it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have, so you basically talked about your setup.
Yep.
Would you, as a priest, does sleep bonus do anything? In professions, you want your sleep bonus on
Mm-hmm.
when you dig or whatever. Do you want it while you're enchanting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Should always have your sleep bonus on, so I'll put that on right now. F sleep. And that's because as you enchant, you're getting skills. And that skill is normally hard to get. Specifically, channeling is what I'm focusing on, but of course, you get soul depth as well.
Alright, so that's simple enough.
Yeah, so let's start some casting here. As well,
Yeah.
you should also put your sleep bonus on because you're making ropes, and that's also something
Okay.
that,
Yes.
yeah. Now, one thing about enchanting that I really have a gripe with is that it still requires you to go through the right-click menu. And if you can see here, there's a lot of items on this list in terms of what spells I can cast. And what's worse is that that list sort of switches its order. You know what I mean?
I think it's for. I think that was the old way that they would make it so you couldn't macro.
Yeah, maybe.
Uh,
That was weird. I casted.
what happened?
It said you failed. Found as you failed to improve the power, and oh, you know what? Am I linked? Is that what happened? Because
Who
I'm
would you be
using
linked with?
the wrong amount of favor, and that might have been. That might have been the problem that we were experiencing. I'm not sure though. Maybe Sir Drake can answer that question. Am I linked with you? I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, it's saying you're linked.
yeah.
Anyway, so
So that might have been the issue, but anyway.
so let's show your process while you're not linked. What does that even mean? You're linked with another priest.
Linked means that you share the mana pool with another priest. Now the upside is that you share the mana pool. So you'll notice that my mana's I call it mana pool, but my favor pool isn't going down as much, and that's because I'm using Sir Drake's, and he's probably sitting here sacrificing at the same time. There is a downside to using a link though at the same time, and that is it makes casting more difficult.
Hmm,
It increases the difficulty of the cast. So
I see.
that's
That's not what you want.
I know. So um, there are upsides and downsides.
All right. So did you unlink?
I think that for now I'm going to ask that we unlink, but we'll link in a minute. I'm wondering, how do we unlink? There was a way. It was, I don't even know. Stop? No, that's not it.
Wouldn't you click him and right click him or something and say unlink?
I remember there was a weird.
Anybody know how to unlink? Adam is
I know I used to be able to do it. I think you have to right click the ground. No target emotes. No. Mm-mm. I think that because Sir Drake linked with me, he has to be the one to do it. So we'll link in a minute, but for now, for the beginning, I think
apparently you have a buff.
in the
in your buffs window
top
that says
corner
you're
that says
linked.
I'm linked. There it is. But I can't use it to unlink. And I wasn't the one who initiated the link, so I don't know if that makes a difference.
Yeah, so you right click the ground, Sir Drake.
Yeah. I believe... Anyway, we'll keep going.
So what is this process that you are talking about?
Well, the process that I use to cast is, and it's something that I'll only be able to show once I'm unlinked. To show, because right now it seems like everything's going a lot smoother than it normally does. There we go. Well, I would like to show it, but I don't know how to unlink.
What happens when you're linked? Can you not cast?
It's that my favor value, like the value in my favor pool is off. Like I can't keep track of it because I don't know how much favor he has. You know what I mean? Okay, there we go. Unlink. Thank you. Okay, good. Here we go. So the way that I get my groove going here is I'll sacrifice an amount of cordage ropes that I know will give me exactly 50 favor, or just above 50 favor. So here, each of these 50 I know give me about 5 favor, or just above 5. So 8 of them plus the 10 favor or 11 favor that I have is going to be above 50. And then I queue up the spell that I want to cast before the sacrifice goes. So this is going to immediately start casting once I finish sacrificing. Because I finished sacrificing, the altar is now empty, and so I can put in another bunch to sacrifice. Okay, now 9 will give me 45, and when I finish this, I will be left with, 4 or something like that. So that should give me enough. Now, I keep my eye on the event window. Notice I succeed in improving the power of Circle of Cunning. And I'll check that, and it's 73. Now, my goal on this is to get a cast that's like, 90 or more. And I found that...
Okay, so you just like imp that cast?
Yeah, I found that just improving is the way to go. At one time...
How do you do that?
At one time, I thought that disenchanting or dispelling the cast was a lot easier, but with time what I found is that you can get a 90 cast just by casting over and over and over.
So to improve a cast, you have to cast over and over and over.
Pretty much.
Does that improve it like I'm improving a rope tool or mallet, or are you just saying that every single time you cast is like a lottery roll?
Yeah, I wish.
Just a roll of dice.
Yeah, it's a lottery roll every single time, and if that roll ends up being above 73, then it gets replaced. If it was below 73, then you get a message that says you have failed to improve the cast.
Alright, do you find that there's some items that are easier to improve a cast on than others?
I hear people saying things like that.
That are harder. That might be an easier. Some items that you just like, these are harder to cast on. They just take longer.
It's hard to say because there are many factors that go into making a cast harder. Some people believe that the time of the day or the day of the week or the month that we're in makes a difference. Some people believe
or on
that
the third moon of
right, or the solar eclipses
on
make a difference.
The year of the
yeah. So it's hard to say. Like, I'll notice that on some days I'll be casting and I'm getting a a string of really good casts in a row, and I feel, oh, this is a good casting day, and I try to attribute that. We 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 as humans,
Look around. Oh, it's
yeah,
because the
that
sun
sun
is
is right in that
yes.
spot. Like we attribute these characteristics to randomness. Uh, Now, whether that's because I'm casting on an item that is easy to cast on, it's hard to say because sometimes you'll be casting on that exact same item that you had really good luck on, and all of a sudden it's like terrible luck. So it's very difficult to tell whether or not in the game mechanics there are items that are better.
Yeah.
You'll hear
So you're saying
rumors. You'll hear
the problem is
rumors.
it's like being in for everyone that's ever played EverQuest, and you can just type like slash roll in EverQuest. Remember that?
Yeah.
Roll like to 100. It's exactly like that. You'll never know. It's completely random. It's a roll of a dice.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw this post in Town Square, but somebody posted a screenshot of people rolling on a rare bone that was dropped from one of the uniques, and just like 6 rolls in a row, and it was like the first 2 were rolled at exactly the same second on the timestamp. The next 2, again, a different second, but the exact same, and the last 2, last same, and each pair that were rolled at the
Uh-huh.
exact same second had the exact same roll. So their question was, is the random roll
Based
tied
on the
somehow to the second that it was rolled on?
wow.
Yeah, I know, and it makes you wonder because we all know that random rolls in this game are actually pseudo-random. They're based on a computer code that's predictable. But the fact that it's not more than just the second that it was rolled on, that's a little bit strange to me.
You never know. All it'll take is one time where it doesn't work, and you have no idea why it did that. Just randomness.
Hmm.
Uh, we can get into a whole conversation about what randomness is and the misconceptions of that. But maybe we shouldn't. Let's go on about to what are we doing? So you have an item,
Hmm.
and you're like, I'm going to cast on. So you cast on it, you lose all of your favor. How do you gain favor back? You naturally gain it back, right?
Right.
It's like
Favor
mana. It's like a mana
regenerates.
pool. It's like your power as a priest is
Yeah.
your favor.
Favor regenerates extremely slowly. Um, it regenerates faster when you have lower. So right now I have, and you can see it in my ticks here because I have it shown. Uh, I gained 1 favor to get to 4. I gained zero point 0.8 favor to get to 5, zero point 0.7 to get to 6. Like it gets lower and lower. Um, so it takes forever to get your favor up. I think to get to 10 takes 2 minutes or something, or what is it? Maybe 5 minutes. It's pretty slow.
Do you believe it's slower or faster to regain your favor than being an enchanter standing in the middle of the over there trying to regain all of their mana in
In
EverQuest?
EverQuest. um, I would rather be in EverQuest regaining my mana by sitting than sitting here and regaining my mana. Because here you do 1 cast and you're out of mana again, and it could take an
Yeah,
hour.
so does having higher faith at all increase your your favor regeneration?
No, not at all. Not at all. There are ways to decrease your mana regeneration or your favor regeneration,
Wait.
but you can't.
Why would you want to decrease your wait, what?
If you wear armor will decrease the rate at which you regenerate. There are reasons why you might want
Huh.
to do that. For example, if you're filling gems with favor for your channeling grind,
Hmm.
then you want to only put in as close to 7.5 favor into it as you possibly can get. So you don't want to be regenning that fast during that time. So you put on some armor to stop it.
Why would you want to do that?
Oh, that could take me a while
Like,
to explain.
Why would you be casting on gems?
So gem casting.
Just
this
summarize.
This is why gems are so valuable to priests. It's one of the fastest ways to get your channeling up. Okay, so like let's say I have a single gem here, and it's 60 quality. Okay, what I'm gonna do is.
Okay, you really want to demonstrate this?
Well,
I was just asking.
it's the easiest way to do it. I'm going to stop the sacrificing, and what we'll do is, what people do is they wait until they have 7.5, exactly 7.5 favor, and then they'll cast the spell Vessel, which takes the favor that you have and stores it into the gem, and then the gem can give you back that favor. Now I do have some armor on me, so I can demonstrate this. So I'm going to keep an eye on my favor, which is at 6.2. When it gets close to around 7 or so, I'm going to pop on all my armor and quickly cast Vessel.
Okay.
So this might take a little bit of time.
And
Okay.
while you're doing that, let's answer this question. Do star gems or black gems hold double the favor?
Yes, they do.
Or is that a rumor?
No, they do.
Okay.
So if you... So gems give back double the amount of favor that you put on them. So if I'm going to put 7.5 favor into it or 8 favor into it, it gives me 16 favor back. Let me see if I can quickly get there.
So you're saying it's
Vessel.
4 times the amount?
So it will get 4 times the amount, exactly.
Wow.
Okay, so notice how when I put that armor on, the next tick was a lot less than it would have normally been. I think I only got 0.4 there. Because I want to keep it as close to 7.5 as possible. Now I'm going to get another favor tick right here, and one more. Exactly one more. So you have to get these favor ticks. So you can only start casting at 7.5, and then you're going to get a couple more favor ticks, but you want to be as low as possible. So that's why the armor is helpful. Now I get it back, and immediately I'll use it. And now I'm going to cast again, and I want to get as few ticks as possible. Now there's an optimal way of doing this, and I'm not doing it properly, but armor is one way of helping it. And this is all to get your channeling up.
So you're not making these gems to use them?
No, you do the gem thing to get channeling. And it's all about timing. It hits, you use, you spell Vessel, and you want to do that before a tick happens. Ugh, and this is where I wish I had the thing. The
Keybinds?
like a keybind or crafting window or something. Like fiddling around with this menu is just really annoying.
Okay, so now that you got that out of the way,
Yeah, back to casting.
say you're casting and you cast COC and you lose all of your favor. You can regen, but you're saying it would take for like a long time. Like how long did you say it would take to regen your favor to get the amount that you need to cast another COC?
Maybe an hour or more. Yeah.
Alright, there's a good point. The vessel trick does not work on Epic. Is that true?
That's right, that is true. Vessel does not give you channeling, I think, or... Yeah, is it that it doesn't give you a channeling tick? I don't know. I think it doesn't give you channeling when you use it.
Anyway, so if I want to not wait that hour, saying you can do what you're doing before, which is sacrifice items to regain your favor.
Yeah. So you go to your altar of your god. You put in some items that have... And cordage ropes is a common item, and that's because their get price is pretty high. And you can make them in bulk pretty quickly because it's a one action item.
Hmm. So does the quality of the gem affect the gem's channeling?
No, no. So the between if it's above 10 quality, doesn't matter. So they all act exactly the same. The reason why below 10 quality gems are sought after, I have some I'll show you. This is the reason I'll show you. This is what people will do. Now if it's under 10 quality, then the gem does not get filled with your favor, but rather it just loses a flat 3 quality, and none of the favor that you used goes in there. It will always take exactly 7.5 favor from your favor pool, and no more. Whereas if I filled my favor bar and casted on one of the higher quality gems, all of my favor, as much as possible, will fit into the gem. And then when I use it, the gem will go poof. Like it'll be gone. Okay, but here, what I can do is I can fill my favor bar and just cast Vessel on this whole stack. And I essentially can just cast over and over and over again, and each cast will only take 7.5. This is
You're
the
saying
best.
that's why
Yeah.
gems that are below a specific quality are worth a bit more to casters.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the most efficient way of getting your channeling up. Vessel gives the highest channeling of all the spells, or at least most of them.
Okay, here's a question. True or false? Have you ever used 7k Wemp in a day?
7k Wemp in a day? Probably. Oh, okay. Well, that's probably not actually. If you're asking if I've used it all up, like have I converted it all to rope and then casted with it all in one day? Probably not. But I've probably used 7k Wemp and turned it all into rope in one day.
Sure. Why would you do that? Is that just in preparation?
In preparation.
For casting?
Exactly. Casting is a huge prep thing. We did a lot of prep work beforehand to make sure that there was enough favor in these bins, because I can use way more favor than you can make. So if you start with nothing and you just have a rope maker going and the caster casting, the caster will use up the favor before it gets refilled.
And that is with 95 quality Wemp, a supreme or rare rope tool that's above 90 quality,
Whoops.
and
Whatever.
a rope maker that has, let's see, above 93 rope making.
Yeah.
Cannot keep up with the caster.
Yeah. So I'm in a really bad spot. So right now we have about 10,000 Wemp here. I have 20,000 in another bin somewhere else.
There's something that you never asked. But how many rope makers would you need to keep up?
If you
With
wanted
one
to keep
caster.
up, I would estimate 3. Probably 3. If not more even. I don't even know. You can use quite a lot of favor quite a bit faster. Quite a lot faster than you can make it. It's kind of crazy. Like I'm putting, let's say if I get my cycle going, it's 30 seconds to cast, 30 seconds to sacrifice, 20 seconds to cast, and I use nine of these ropes. Now, the viewers here aren't seeing, you guys aren't seeing the ropes being made, but about half of them are getting put into this junk bin, which I have right here, 3,500 junk, 24 quality, and these are each one favor, whereas the 50 quality ones are about 5 favor.
Yeah.
So it makes a difference. Makes a big difference.
Okay, so let's say I'm just, making. I just started Worm. I'm making a deed, and I want an enchanted weapon or enchanted tool for the first time. So I come and ask you. I would like you to make me, or can you enchant on my mallet? And
Mm-hmm.
I would like 75 COC on it.
Mm-hmm.
Please make it for me. What are you thinking as a priest?
Well, my first thought, whenever anybody asks me, "Can you cast on my tools?" is what quality are those tools?
Okay.
Because it's quite easy to shatter a low quality tool.
I see. So let's say it's decent quality. Let's say it's like 50 quality.
Okay. Now the
But
other
I
thing I'm
want to.
thinking in my mind
Yeah.
is you want a 70 cast. The problem with casts is that they're not sort of on demand. Like if somebody asks me imp this to 70, then I can do that because I can choose what quality I'll stop imping at. But I don't know, I could cast on that mallet and on the first cast get 100. Just be super lucky, but it's possible. And then
Okay, so
where
let's say you agree to cast a 75 COC on my tool,
Mhm.
and you end up casting 100.
See on your tool,
What's
that wouldn't be a
yeah?
problem too much in the sense that we
Not my tool, but like a person,
if
a
you were somebody
consumer's.
that I didn't know and I probably wouldn't agree to cast on your
And
tool for
the
70.
reason you wouldn't agree is because now you have this dilemma. You agreed to cast 75 COC on it. You casted 100. What do? Do you
Hmm.
now charge the guy for 100, or do you charge the guy for the 75 COC and give him a 100 COC tool?
Now, the way that I go about my merchant or selling tools is the agreement is prior to them sending their tool or whatever, we make an agreement that they pay a certain price for whatever cast that they get. And all I can guarantee is in a minimum. So I'll guarantee to them, like, I can get a minimum of 80 or a minimum of 90, and they will pay according to what cast lands.
All right, so that's how you get around it.
I mean, I'm not like getting around it. I mean, the idea is that if I'm going to go through a session where I'm just casting on random items that are in this bin here, then,
Yes.
whatever 100 that I land or 90 plus cast that I land, those ones are part of the stock that I have. But if I'm casting on somebody
Yeah.
else's tools, then that tool goes back to that person. And if I agreed that I'll only, you know, 40 copper for a 70 cast, then I've just sold them,
Mhm.
a 90 plus cast for 40 copper. And it seems like I mean, I'll do it for people that I know, and I'll do it for people that are in the alliance and friends, and I'll cast on everybody's stuff of friends. Um, but
But
if
is the
it's
result like worth the time and effort you put into it?
Oh yeah, I saw that question. That's a good question. Yeah.
Think of it
You
this
know,
way. I would never do this.
right.
This isn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, I know you
Adam
hate it.
is
I've gotten you to sit here and do
completely
this a few times and you hate it.
Adam's
And
completely the caster. He loves it. Can you hear it in his voice when he talks about the math and the numbers and everything involved in it?
it's a
It's
lot
a
of
specific type of player
yeah.
needs to be able to play this game. And then a specific type of that player needs to be able to to
Yeah,
play as a priest.
yeah. It's a hard grind to get to this point. And then
But
even then you're seeing what is happening here and I'm looking for a 90 cast and I'm can't even improve this 80. Um, and
now,
it's
if you're talking specifically money, like do you get like for all the time that you put into it, are you find that you get money in return or monetary value of some kind? Then I would say if you can get past the fact that you're playing a priest, which I can't, and
yeah.
Adam can, then of course like you're gonna gain money just like everything else,
Hmm.
right, in this game. If you become, a great mason or a great blacksmith, you put the time and effort into it, then you're gonna make money.
Although
It's
I'd
just like,
argue that you'll probably make more money as a great priest than a great mason.
and do you think it's because it's a small subset of a small subset of players
Yeah,
that do it?
partially. Um, but also because the result is highly sought after. Like
It's like weaponsmithing.
these casts, people want, people will pay for. Um, Weapons, high quality weapons, people will pay for. But with weapons, the reason why those are more valuable slightly is because the supply isn't there. There's not that many weaponsmiths. Um,
Yeah, so there's a question. You enchant this item. How does it decay? Like, if I give you a 90 quality uh, carving knife, it's going to eventually go down to 80 and then 70 as you use
yeah,
it. So
yeah.
how does the enchanting work? Does it
Enchants,
decay?
they don't sort of damage like quality does, but they randomly will decrease on use. Is it use?
Mm.
Yeah, when you're using it. If as that action timer is going down, it's behind the scenes. It's reducing the value of the enchant on the item. So over time, the enchants go down.
I see. I see. No exceptions.
No, there are exceptions actually. In order for it to go down, the item has to have an action timer while you're using that item. So, although there's even exceptions to that, but one example are horseshoes. Horseshoes, you can cast WOA to make your horse go faster. But because there's no action timer associated with using horseshoes, there's no opportunity for it to degrade. So a 99 WOA horseshoe will always be forever a 99 WOA horseshoe, so long as it doesn't
How about a
damage.
saddle?
Saddles as well. Saddles will stay.
Ooh.
Other items that will stay, weapons. Okay, weapons will
Really?
always hold their
Weapons?
enchants because there's no action timer associated with using a weapon unless you take that weapon and chop a tree or something. Then it'll start decaying. But if
Okay.
you're using it just for fighting, then it's fine. Um, and meditation rugs is the exception to that exception, in that meditation rugs will always hold their uh, enchants, even though there is an action timer associated with them.
I'm sure you can make like a big list of items that enchants will not decay on.
I know.
But here's a question. Um, this was a rumor that I heard. Tell me if it's true or not. Items that are rare or higher rarity, any kind of rarity, lose enchants slower. They
Absolutely.
keep, or they keep enchants for longer.
Absolutely. Rare
Do you believe that's
items,
true?
one of the benefits of rare items is that they hold enchants for far longer than regular items. I would say it might even be 5 times longer or even more than that.
So
It's a
wow,
lot.
wow.
Hmm.
So here's a question. What's the average quality that you make from the 90 or the 95 quality wemp that we have
Mm-hmm.
with our 90 quality or with our 90 robe maker.
Right. So 90. We actually have a 93 rope maker. We'll use 93 or 92 quality rope tools, and we'll probably get an average of 45 quality. I don't know. You could probably tell me. You have
I'm
the
not
rope.
sure.
You have the rope sitting in your
Oh, but this is the answer to the meditation problem.
what?
You're not activating the meditation rug in order to use it, and that's probably why.
I suppose that's true. You're not activating it.
But you do you damage it when you use it?
Yeah,
Like that?
it damages. Yeah,
Hmm.
but your weapon damages too, right?
That's
And
true.
so do the
So
horseshoes.
it's more about maybe I guess it's more about having it activated.
Maybe you have to have it activated. Yeah. Why am I not
Alright, so
casting? Or is it?
it's
Is it
because of the worm
the worm lag?
lag.
Yeah.
It's the server saving or whatever. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, would special weapon moves allow for our timers to decrease casts on them?
Sorry? Say that one more time.
Special weapon moves allow for timers to decrease casts on them. Maybe you can clarify that a bit.
I don't think that you activate the weapon for that. Yeah, because a special weapon move, if you get a high skill in a weapon, then you get these like sleepwalker or whatever, like these moves that you can use, and they have action timers. But I think
Yeah.
still, because you're not activating the weapon, yeah, I don't think that counts. Okay, I'm gonna try something. I've been casting on this 80 for I don't know how long, and it's still 80. So what I'm gonna do is something I commonly do when I'm banging my head against this, and that's I'll pop in an extra 10 favor, and I'll use it to dispel the 80.
I thought you said dispelling doesn't work.
I'm not say I don't know conclusively that it doesn't work. All I know is that often when I get a refresh on the enchant, the 90 will come a little bit quicker. And who knows? I could keep casting and the 90 will have come in the same amount of time, but there's no way of knowing. It just sort of makes me feel better to see the cast value go up is all.
Oh, that's funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, Dispel often doesn't... There, you remove it.
Okay, so before I wanted a WOA and COC on my items.
Right.
And you're like, we'll get into the details later.
Right.
Uh,
Now's a good
yeah,
time
so
to talk about
do
that.
I want that?
So some items you'll want that. And I think Saws is a good example of one that you want high WOA. That's the primary WOA
Yeah.
because that's what you're using it for. But COC is good because you're also going to be getting other skills while you're cutting planks, and you may as well have as high COC as possible. I don't think COC is as important because you're not really going to be grinding skills with this thing, but whatever, everybody should agree that any skill is useful. Any skill gain is useful. So I'd say for Saws you want high WOA and COC is more of a bonus.
Yeah.
For things like skilling gathering, so pickaxes, harvesting, farming, hatchets, you'll want only COC and a low quality. And we've discussed why before.
Yeah, we've talked about that in a really, I guess it's an old episode now.
There we go.
One
There's
of
a
our
91.
skill gain episodes. A 91.
See, on the
Congratulations.
second cast after this spell. So, it's one of these
We
things.
can conclude.
Yeah, I know.
Every single time you dispel. No,
Yeah, that's the problem
you'll
with
get a
this is that
91.
who knows that in if I didn't dispel that two casts later I would have gotten the 91. You don't know. So uh, yeah.
So do you feel like this is the hardest skill? Which skill to grind in the whole of Worm? I'm not sure exactly which skill you're talking about, Bunny Love,
That's well, I think
because
that
it's a
skilling
number of
is
skills.
one of the things we wanted to talk about. Um,
Yeah. So let's first talk about priest skill. Like, what determines a priest's overall power?
mhm.
Is it just favor?
No, no. Number one is channeling. Channeling is the primary um, skill in determining
Okay.
whether or not you're going to get good casts. Some might argue, but I don't. I mean, from my
You don't agree.
perspective, if I've seen high channel like 80 channeling with like 25 soul depth getting awesome casts. You know, like channeling is primary in my opinion. What channeling does is it increases the probability or the chance that you will land a successful cast. And one of the biggest hurdles that you want to get over at the beginning is landing successful casts, because often, as a low priest with low channeling, you'll be shattering left, right, and center, and failing, getting lots of crappy casts all over the place. Um, so you want to get that success chance up. Now, part of me feels like the enchanting bonus for the village, which I think is messed up for some reason now, but that contributes to increasing your chance of casting like landing a good a successful cast. But I don't know for sure exactly, as I mentioned.
Okay, so channeling. So did you just talk about soul depth?
I mean, I mentioned soul depth. Soul depth would be the second, which is the
Yeah.
characteristic associated with casting enchanting spells. Um, now your
So
soul
what does
depth
it do to get soul depth up?
Soul depth, the best way is the hot food cooking grind, which we've talked about in the past, and we've created our kitchen over there in the previous episode. Um,
Okay, so what does it do
Now,
for casting?
some people, and again, I don't know for sure. It's not. There's no official word on what it does, and people have mentioned to me, and I
Mm.
take everything mentioned to me about this game with a grain of salt. Um, they've mentioned that soul depth will increase the power of your casts. So it somehow
Increase the
contributes.
power of your casts.
So channeling increases the success rate of landing a
Do
cast.
you believe that about soul depth? Or are you just repeating what somebody told
Right
you?
now, I'm repeating what somebody told me, and I can't say one way or the other. I have no evidence to confirm nor deny. What I do know is that soul depth does somehow affect enchanting, and that the higher the soul depth, the better.
Okay, so you're saying channeling number one, soul depth number two, then what the heck is faith for?
Faith is your maximum mana. So here I'll
You
show
mean
it.
favor.
Okay, faith. Faith is your maximum favor. That's right, and not mana.
Okay.
So that's your pool.
And this is specifically for Vynoran Priest, right?
No, it's for all priests actually.
Okay,
Um,
then what the heck is soul strength for?
Soul strength increases the uh, somehow, I don't know exactly how, but it helps with offensive spells. So spells that you'll cast that, like for example, if I cast Frost Pillar over here, spell or Ice Pillar, Soul
Hmm.
depth doesn't do anything for that, but soul strength affects that cast. Now,
Okay.
I've heard some people believe that all Vynoran priests are affected only by soul depth, and soul strength has no effect. I don't believe that. And again, I can't. I have no evidence to support or deny it, but my feeling about it tells me that, that soul strength affects offensive spells like Ice Pillar, whereas soul depth affects spells like Enchanting. So if you're a mag priest, people say, "Oh, soul strength all the way." But if you want to cast armor of what is it called? Armor of shared pain with your mag. I'm pretty sure that soul depth is still the characteristic that affects that.
Huh. Okay, so people know that when you convert your character to a priest, your priest becomes handicapped in a number of different ways. One big one is that a priest cannot imp anything
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
Or they can they? And they just get a penalty, or they just can't. I don't know. I have not tried it before.
There's you can, but there's a penalty, and it's a heavy one too. Um, there we go. Just got a 93 Wind of Ages. Things are starting to roll.
Right.
So
So
you can,
yeah.
but it does if your god sees you, which is a random chance doing some of these, then your faith gets decreased by a certain amount. I think it depends on what your faith is currently. I attached a Mind Door on Chaos when I was over there with this because it was my last resort. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll just take the faith hit, and I lost point 0.1. But I've also taken faith hits a lot, like way before when I had lower faith, and I lost point 0.5 or something like that.
Well, okay. So, and on top of that, there's other, depending on which priest you are, you have other penalties. Like as a Vynoran priest, you can't do what?
You cannot dig. You can't
Cannot dig.
mine. You can't. Uh, yeah, anything related to building, continuing, or yeah,
It's like
that's
you
pretty much. You
cannot
can't
do
build
anything
or
that this
improve.
game is
Yeah, it's built
like
around.
built around. Okay, so here's a good question. I have no idea. Do you gain any perks by having the Colossus of Venora?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Does anybody have one? I don't know. I don't have one. There's our next project. No. Uh, we should build all of the Colossus gods statue. Colossus. Colossi.
Yeah, maybe
Right
it
next week.
does.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't. That's the one thing about this whole priest business is that it's very difficult to tell whether or not something is helping or not. All you can do is sort of create optimal conditions and hope that you're gonna, you know,
Yeah.
hope that it's doing
So,
something.
all right. So
In fact,
in the end, we have no idea.
no
We don't
idea.
know.
Yeah.
So other skills that would be nice for a priest. So you're a bin priest. You have all of these restrictions.
Hmm.
Well, what can you do, and what would be beneficial other than the channeling and soul depth for a priest to have?
You know, for personally, what I on my priest, I've really only focused on these soul depth, channeling, faith, and a lot of people will say, you know, if they want to buy a priest, they are looking for other things like that can that priest make their own favor, or do they have farming, or maybe another thing I'd say that the priests should have is they should be able to ride a horse.
Yeah, I would say yes.
But other than that, I don't think that priests really need that, because my personal feeling about making favor is, I love having another tune to make the favor, because that way I can make favor at the same time as I cast, and that way my casting is optimal.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
You actually believe that?
It makes it go faster, if that makes sense. I can just sit here and cast and cast and cast, whereas I've seen priests who make their favor and cast, and a lot of them will just make favor in between their casts, or they have to make favor in a whole session of making favor, and then they do a whole session of casting and repeat the process. And in addition, if that priest is also farming, then you're not... I don't know. I feel like if you have a farmer and a favor maker and a caster separately, then you can be casting at the same time as you're farming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, of course, with more than one character, you can do more than one thing at the same time. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I mean, if I didn't have, let's say, this rope maker, I probably wouldn't grind a favor making skill on this priest. I would probably use my main and do a favor making skill on him for that reason. But I know that a lot of people want priests to be self-sufficient, or be able to make their own favor. To me, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know.
All right, I guess
I don't know.
you don't like that idea.
Well, I don't know. What do you think? I mean,
It would be like handicapped for you, the way that you work.
it would make things go a little bit take a little bit longer. That's...
Yeah. Well, I'd like to go to an actual hot button issue here, and all this is related to priests. What do you feel for the ability to sell your characters in this game? So we can go and we can sell your character. Let's say you stop playing, you have a priest, you stop playing, and you want to sell your character. You sell your character to somebody else. All of a sudden, this person that had no ability to enchant has your character and has this great ability to now enchant.
Part of the
Is this a
appeal...
good thing or a bad thing?
Part of the appeal to this game, for me, not that I would ever sell any of my characters, but part of the appeal is that my characters hold some kind of value. And that as I skill, that value goes up. So that adds something for me to this game. Something that's not in most other games.
Is that a good thing for the economy, though?
There
With the Wurm economy, not the...
There are some issues surrounding that, the selling of characters, and a lot of people will argue, and I've seen this argument, that because people are allowed to sell their characters, it keeps those powerhouse characters in the economy. So whereas normally, let's say a character or a person would quit the game, that now that player passes their character on to somebody else who will then continue to use that character in the powerhouse sort of way. And what this creates is sort of a top-heavy economy where the number of powerhouse characters are just increasing over time, and they never, you know, die off or whatever you want to call it.
Uh-huh.
Now, this currently we're in a state of the game where there is a massive abundance of these characters who can cast spells like I'm casting now. And so the market's kind of saturated. Prices have been plummeting on enchanted items, and so, you know, it's not great for the economy. It's not great for the economy,
Okay.
I'd say.
So you feel it's not good.
It's one of these, like, it's one of these, it's good and it's not good at the same time. Because without selling characters, you probably wouldn't have as many people pushing for these godlike skills. Um, it's, I don't know. It's hard to say. If I can just stop this conversation just for a second, because I want to explain what I've been doing for the past, maybe since I got that cast on the saw. I switched to weapons. Now, weapons can take quite a few more casts or different types of enchantments. So this one is this weapon that I bought, and I bought a bunch of them from a friend of ours on Delhi, who makes life transfer weapons. And so life transfer is a faux priest spell, which when you hit something with that weapon, it will heal your wounds for you, which is a nice thing to have.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Let me just, I'm doing these quick calculations in my head, but it's not really working. 6 times 8 is 48. Okay, that's fine. And in addition to life transfer, weapons can also have a spell called Mind Stealer, which is a spell that when you kill a mob, it will randomly choose one of your skills and give you a little, you know, tick in that skill. There's a chance that you'll get a tick in that skill. Now, Mind Stealer is a Vynoran spell. It requires 120 favor to cast, and you may have noticed that my maximum is only 100. So this is what we use linking for. So Sir Drake has offered his assistance here with his Vynoran Priest, and we're linking our favor, and that's in this little icon on the top right here, so that together I have access to my 100 plus whatever he has in his favor pool. So when I cast Mind Stealer, which is right here, it allows me to cast it. Now, because we're linked, it does increase the difficulty of the cast. Now, Life Transfer is a similar spell in the sense that it costs 120, it requires a linked priest, and
Yeah.
it increases the difficulty. So getting higher powered casts is harder. So there I just got a 79, which isn't great. So I'm going to keep going.
79? I'd love a 79.
Would you?
Yes.
Now, the other thing to consider is that these weapons, and I haven't gotten improved to 90, and that's, you know, my friend over there, our friend over there in Delhi, is her weaponsmithing is somewhere in the 70s. Maybe it's gotten to 80 by now, but you know, all the weapons I got here from her are 70, and so I'm running a higher risk of shattering, which is always a little bit scary. In fact, I not recently, but a couple months ago, shattered a 90 quality rare pickaxe, which was not a very sad day.
Oh, wow. That is pretty sad.
Yeah. Did I fail that one? And then when you're looking at these, where did that, in this massive spam, when you're looking at the, did I succeed? And you're looking in the event window, and there's that message that you failed to cast it, and the longsword resonates but stays intact. Or there's also a possibility that you damage the longsword. And of course, there's the possibility of shattering it. So all of those are bad.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get more into it, one of the questions was, if players didn't sell their characters, would the economy still survive?
Yeah, that's a possible problem. If you get rid of the selling of characters, would the economy survive? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I mean, you have those people who are in this game for money. You might lose those people. Whether that might be a good thing, it's hard to predict. It's hard to predict. In my opinion, I think that the way it is works. It works for the game. It works for the economy. And changing something may end up changing it for the worse. It's one of these fragile. There's the message. The longsword emits a deep, worrying sound of resonance, but stays intact. Which is, when I first started playing the Vynoran Priest, I was very, very worried about that statement. I always felt like
That sounds kind of worrying.
getting that message means that the next cast has a, more increased chance at failing as well. But I found that it's not true. That each cast seems pretty independent from the next. And so I think it's pretty safe to keep going. The other thing is, I feel like I waste a lot of favor doing this with two priests linking, because I don't know what the other priest has in terms of favor, and it takes too long to communicate exactly how much and add it all up. I'm just like filling my favor bar almost, and that's probably what Sir Drake is doing as well, filling his favor bar. But then when we cast it and I'm left with a whole bunch of favor, it feels like a waste. It's better when you end with like one favor, because the next tick you get like a few free favor ticks there that are pretty nice. Anyway.
Okay. So we were talking about, I don't know, any comments you have about other priests, like the priest of Magrenon?
In fact, I do have a Magrenon priest. I do have a Magrenon priest, and as I've said, we just made Nasili here a faux priest.
So you have every priest on Freedom.
Pretty much, yeah. I also have a Vynoran battery as well.
Huh.
But also not premiumed. It's very handy to have priests. It's very handy. They carry quite a few benefits. The Mag Priest, we're going to be giving him premium soon. Already got a referral on him ready to go, because we're going to need him for the Labyrinth project.
That's right. And why are we going to need him for the Labyrinth project? Because we're going to make lots of mistakes. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, lots of mistakes. Remember when we did the first Labyrinth project and we made lots of mistakes, and we actually had to get somebody to come and pay him and to fix our mistakes there.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, this is a crazy question. Which priest is the best, and why?
Yeah, it's a hard question. It really depends on your playstyle, personality, what you want to use the priest for. Um, you know, some if you if you can take the skill grind and take this whole experience, like I don't know, getting the skills first of all on the Vynoran Priest and then getting the enchants and spending all that time. If you can take that and that's your thing, personally, that's my thing, and that's I enjoy it the most. Good moneymaker, that sort of thing. But the foe priest, a lot of people like the foe because it's a good priest to have on the deed and do deedly things like
If
farming
you
and
love animals,
animal husbandry. If you're an animal
you're
husbandry
a foe
person,
priest.
because they have spells that are tailored to that. Um, they also can grow trees pretty fast, and I think that we're going to use the faux priest to do that for the forest we want to make.
Uh-huh.
Um, Mag priest is good as well for deed things. They don't have the restriction for mining, so they can mine, which is pretty nice. Um,
That's right. Path, are you going to make your mag priest cast lava going down the path of meditation? Or one of the paths?
uh,
Is that even something you're considering?
well, the mag priest I purchased. Actually, it was like a pretty starter mag priest, and I built it up so that it has enough to cast strong wall. I did a little bit of meditation on it. I think it started on the path of love, like it was already on the path of love. I haven't really given it much consideration in terms of what path to go on. I don't think it's going to be one of my main accounts in terms of what I play. It's going to be sort of utility. Use it when I need
Okay.
it, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I think the answer to that question is no. I haven't really considered spending too much time in terms of meditation.
Hmm. So how's your enchanting going there?
It's going pretty poorly. I'm still at the 79 mark on this.
You're still trying to do that weapon.
I'm considering dispelling it. I don't know.
Hmm.
And starting
So
again. See if that trick works. Oh wait, I can't. I can't. Forgot to mention that dispelling always takes the top. It always takes the when you examine it, it'll take the top enchant. So right now, life transfer is on top of Mind Stealer, so it will take the life transfer away.
So you could never get rid of that
Well, I
mind
could
stealer unless you want to get rid of
the life transfer as well. Yeah,
the life transfer.
yeah. So I'm just gonna have to keep
Ugh.
casting over and over again. This is what makes weapons really, really challenging. Um, Often it's the case that people who do weapons are dealing with multiple people in the same way that I did here. So
Hmm.
work together. And so the life transfer is often the one that goes on first.
Okay, so let's switch topics a little bit here
Okay.
and talk a little bit about the big news of the week
Mm-hmm.
so
On the
far.
forums, yeah.
Anybody know what that is? What's going on in the forums today?
You know what? All through the whole week, I was thinking, wow, this is a really slow forum week. And it was like this morning, boom. Wow.
What are these topics on the forums today? Something about the ability to build all of that crazy stuff they made on Challenge. How do you feel about that?
Archery turrets and magical turrets and the siege engines. I was very excited to see that these were being considered to be brought into the regular game. Um, I do feel
So why is there a big backlash?
people who don't like the idea of it because it changes things. It changes the dynamic of how PvP is carried out. One of the biggest arguments against bringing them into the game is that they weren't tested enough. That there's still bugs with
Okay,
them.
so you think that people don't like them because they actually don't
Oh,
like
hold on,
them,
hold on,
like they
hold on,
don't
hold
want
on.
them?
I just got a 97 Mind Stealer.
Wow.
Woohoo! Slow clap.
Yeah. Anyway, so you feel like people don't like, or they're against them because they don't like that they're there? They're like, take them away.
Take
Or
them
do you feel like they don't like them because just because they haven't been tested?
away. You know, I feel like they've been tested enough in terms of.
And here's the problem. I know we
Well
all play.
done.
Well done. Well done. Yeah.
That
I
voice
know that.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, it doesn't. Let's say, let's say,
Yeah.
like we play in a small game.
Yeah.
They can't get enough people to play this game. Like that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
And I think like we all love this game, so we all consider it. You know, we're paying for this game. We're considering it like when you think about it, it's like why wouldn't anybody else play this game if they knew that it existed? But if we can't get that many people to play the game, what's the chances we can get enough people to test everything that we're going to do with these items on the test server? And the truth is that they do get a lot of people testing it. So I know people that do test on the test server, but there's just not enough.
Mhm.
It's just not even close to enough people like testing. And I don't blame anybody. Like why would I wouldn't be? I don't want to test.
I know.
If I'm gonna play this game, I want to play on the real server. I don't want to. I just expect somebody else to do it, but but there's nobody else to do it.
I mean, I've been on the
Everyone that
test
does
before.
it, they're volunteering their time to do it.
That's right. I've been on the test before, and it is true. Like I feel like while I'm over there, the progress, my progress in the game is slowing down because of it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to play the game on the real server as well.
Yeah. So what do? They test as much as they can. They bring it here. And
Now,
then
for
things
these
break.
items, they did a lot of the testing as well on the challenge server. So they were live on the challenge server. But a lot of people are arguing that wasn't enough of a test because in the challenge server, a lot of the deeds weren't developed enough like they are on
Well,
Chaos.
you utilize those items differently
Right.
than you would use them on Chaos
Or Epic or whatever.
or Epic
Yeah,
or Freedom.
I mean, but I would also argue that the test that they did on challenge was probably far more intensive than it would have been on a regular test server, you know?
Okay, so let's say as a Freedoms player, how does it affect me?
Yeah. That question. How does it affect me? It so what it does for Freedom players is it adds more cosmetic items to the game because these things on Freedom don't actually do anything.
They don't do anything, really?
So the archer, you build an archer target or archer tower, and you would expect that it would shoot stuff. But from
Like
what
animals?
I've heard, yeah, like animals or anything. What I heard, it doesn't do any of that. It just sits there and looks pretty.
So why do I want one?
Because it sits there and looks pretty. People like the look of them, and I've seen pictures of them, and they look really nice. They add an aesthetic feature to the game for sure. I guess it's a
Could it
good
be
thing.
called something else?
Sorry?
Do they look like something else that we could just call them something that has no, I don't know, like a tower,
Yeah, lookout tower or
generic
whatever. Yeah.
tower, lookout tower
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
that you
mean,
can't look out of. Speaking, but yeah, okay. So there's a bunch of items. It doesn't really affect us. It's just more items that they had no. Uh, what am I trying to say? They did not think to apply PVE benefits to these items.
no. Or at least they might have thought it, but didn't because of time constraints or coding constraints or whatever it might be.
I mean, there's a question. They can deactivate the benefit or the use that it has on freedom. Then would they be able to apply benefits to those items only on freedom that do not transfer over to the PvP servers?
Wait, say that again?
They could put a benefit onto the archery tower
Okay, that applies
that
only to
applies
PV.
only to the freedom
Sure.
servers.
Sure, it
Then
sounds like
why
they have
wouldn't
the
they?
capability to do that, but I don't think they will because of the time and effort it takes to do that.
Is it
Um,
because most of the players play on the PvP server, so therefore they're designating all the time and effort towards the mass of players?
Here's the thing: these items were developed for PvP. The initial idea
Mhm.
of them was how can we spice up PvP. Um, I don't think there was any thought at the time of how can we create more items for PvE. You know what I mean? So in the design of these items, it was just PvP concepts strictly. So when they get to this point where they're implementing them into the game, they probably just as a side thought said, "Hey, you know what? Those PvE players will probably like it if we also let them build it on freedom."
Build it, and I think yeah, I think it was great that they did that.
But they probably didn't have the time or resources to code in some alternate use for these items. So my thought is that it was just an afterthought.
So your thought is that freedom players are an afterthought
In this particular case, this isn't.
in this particular
I
case,
mean,
or in every case in general.
I
Anyway,
don't know.
let's move on. And oh, that's an interesting. So somebody 1v5'd us on the challenge server.
Yeah. Yes, I do
Thank you
recall your
for
name. You
admitting
Hivra.
your. No, it's all in good fun.
Yeah,
Um,
we were all noobs, so
so anyway, you believe that people are complaining because it either changes the dynamic
yeah.
of what they have to do, or they're complaining because it's not tested enough, or they're complaining because they just don't like change.
So it's a little bit of all of that.
What do you think?
Some people, and here's the thing: I feel like a lot of people are saying stuff and not actually experiencing it. But some people were saying like those archer towers was so easy to take out horses. Like they take out horses and they kill people so quickly that they're very unbalanced. That if a deed were to defend themselves by putting all these archer towers around, it would be nearly next to impossible to raid that deed. So maybe there is a balance shift in the sense that it will become a lot more easy to defend a deed than it was
Is that
before.
a bad thing?
You know, some people might say that's not a bad thing, but some people who might say that it will stifle PvP. Like people will now not even try to raid deeds, where even before it was like raiding deeds was so hard that people barely tried anyway. Um, so yeah, I mean that might truly be a bad thing for PvP servers. If you're going to buff a defensive thing on deeds, you should
I thought they
probably
created
also give
items.
offensive things.
Didn't they create offensive items for the
Yeah,
challenge
they
server?
did, and I don't know how those balance each other out. It's really hard to say how it might change rating and offensive.
Were those items included in this patch?
Yes, yes, they were. So
Yeah.
nobody's talking
So
about that
there's not
stuff.
just defensive items that were added to chaos.
It's
There was
true.
also offensive items that were added.
It's true. It does make it so that in order to raid a deed successfully, you'll have to nullify these Archer towers. But I don't think that the new offensive things were designed to do that.
Well, I think they just need to be tested.
Yes, they need to be
Yeah,
tested.
people have seemed to be, I guess, commenting before trying.
Yeah, it's true.
It was okay.
I mean, it's hard to say what will come of it. Um, Really, you
Mm.
kind of need a real test, a real raid to happen. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it works. I am interested to see how it affects the labyrinth that we're gonna make.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
how it will affect us.
That's right. Isn't that the most important thing to us? Yeah. No, I'm interested to see how we could apply them to the labyrinth. Uh, even the offensive items. I want to see what they look like. Might be able to use them somewhere.
Hmm.
But nothing. So, like all these are cosmetic items. There hasn't been any new features for PvE. Nothing that we can include in the labyrinth. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It'd be nice to add these items to decorate, but
yeah. So here's a good point. Uh, I don't play PvP, but I imagine that they would have liked a little warning before they did this.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So now it's all. So it's about communication.
Yeah.
Would
Y-
that have changed anything? Do you think?
So we recently got a
Somewhat,
new
maybe.
PR uh, person, retrograde,
Yes.
and I think he's been doing a good job in terms of communicating the news to us. And my feeling is that there's some breakdown in the communication between the devs and this, and it's something they'll have to work on internally.
Yeah,
Um,
here's the one problem is that Johan actually worked for Wurm and
Lived
got paid
and went into the
and
office,
went to the office.
talked to people individually.
Who he was replaced with and everybody that is replaced are all volunteers that all live somewhere around the world.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality. They're all volunteers and they all don't live wherever they're making Wurm, which is in Sweden.
Hmm.
So it's just what we were used to before we had an actual paid community representative relations guy. We had volunteer ones.
Yeah.
So they very easily can be a breakdown in communications between the devs who are in an office at some time during the day and whoever they have to talk for them who doesn't live anywhere near them or might not even be awake at the same time of day as them. You never know. It becomes harder
Hmm.
to relay everything that's going on. Um, but yeah, a little warning would have been nice.
Would have been nice. I would have expected it to be in the weekly notes or whatever, or the weekly patch update, the weekly update.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. But I feel that a lot of this is due to last minute decisions. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's something like same with the mooring rope situation. It's like a last minute decision. At least maybe it wasn't a last minute decision, but from the perspective of the players, that's what it feels like. Because we're supposed to be getting these regular updates, we get all these news updates, and we see all the new stuff that's going to come, and then boom, something completely out of the blue is in the game that wasn't in the patch notes, and none of what's in the patch or the weekly update is in the game yet. So it just seems like it was like a last minute thing. It's hard to say
So
though.
do you feel like the developers are caring or giving more attention to PvP players than PvE players? Uh, we talked about this before
Hmm.
a little bit in another episode, but maybe reiterate a little bit about that.
You know, it sometimes feels that way, and then I'm sure that the PvP players feel the same way the other way around. Um, I don't I don't think that it's too imbalanced. I feel like PvE gets quite a lot of attention. Bridges is a good example that a lot of resources are going towards that, and
If you want to specifically look at like why they're concentrating a lot on PvP when maybe the player bases don't support it as much, like if you look at the ratio of where the players are
right,
playing,
right,
and it's simply because the devs very much like PvP play, right? Like they're making a game that they want to play themselves, and
yeah,
the sad part is, well, or the good part is, depending on where you play, they like to PvP.
yeah.
They like the idea of building that, and you tend in life, no matter who you are, to be more excited about building something that you enjoy doing yourself.
The other thing I think that we have to consider is that PvP brings in more money per player than freedom. In terms of the deeds that they make and the Templars, like on Epic, the Templars cost 3 times as much per month, and there you need
Wow.
multiple Templars per deed. Um, you'll
Wow.
also have lots of really really large deeds, and requiring lots of premium players to build them, and you can sort of retain those PvP players a little bit easier too, especially if you give them development.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Well,
say.
yeah. I think we're basically wrapping down the
Hmm.
episode.
Hmm.
Let's do a tally. What have you created?
Not much, actually. A lot less than I thought I was gonna. Um, so I got a 91 COC, 93 WA on that saw.
Hmm.
Let's open this up. I just succeeded, and just see what that is. 79. I got a. Let's see. On that longsword, oh yeah, the 97 Mind Stealer, which is, I think, by far the best cast of the night. And I also had this other large maul, which I didn't say anything about really, that had a 97 life transfer on it, and it had a low Mind Stealer, like a 72. And so I imped that and got it, I think, an 82. Oh, 83, I should. Got an 83.
Oh,
So that sort of rounds that one out a little bit. And that's pretty much it.
so yeah, it's not bad. Well, at least, uh, I mean, why do we do this mostly? Or hopefully, it'll fund some of our projects.
Right. That's the main thing
Sell
that
some
we
of
want to
this,
do.
continue to fund some of our deeds and some of our characters, and uh, I am thankful that Adam enjoys it because I do not.
If it were up to you, we would be making no money to fund anything.
Let's go back to the labyrinth. I'm sure someone will fund it at some point, somewhere. We'll just build it, and they will come. So thank you everyone for watching. And hopefully that explains a little bit about enchanting. If you have any more questions about it, I'm sure Adam will be happy to answer it in the comment section.
And just one last word. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to show this was to show how, what's the word, mind-numbing or hard or difficult, challenging it is to get these good casts, even with pretty decent skills. I know that some people are probably watching this going, like, thinking that it's hopeless, because even with these skills I'm getting, like, takes forever to get the cast that you want. And this is the reason why enchanting is considered to be valuable. It's because it's challenging, it's hard, and it takes a long time and a lot of effort, and all of these characters doing all these things that we're doing to get these casts that we want. So yeah, hope it showed
And
that.
hopefully next week we'll be back to something. Hopefully the labyrinth. We'll see.
Labyrinth related, yeah.
Labyrinth related. Got some ideas. We're building the labyrinth in what, Deed Planner.
Yep.
Of course, there's no mine level in Deed Planner anymore. I thought there used to be.
Yeah.
I'll have to do that some other way. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we'll be back to something more fun like that, or less fun if you're Adam. And we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully have a good week. We'll see you in Wurm maybe.
Woohoo,
Take care,
94.
guys. Ooh, 94 to end the show.
Yep.
Let's do this.
See you.
See you guys. Have a good week.